The B-2 Spirit, it's Northrop Grumman's $2.1 billion Ghost. That thing's a flying wing, 172 feet across, 69 feet long, 17 feet high. Breaking news, everybody. The U.S. has launched successful attacks on nuclear sites across Iran. Likely the main target of these attacks was Fordo, that extremely deep bunker. I have a video on that bunker buster bomb that I'll link to in the description. And then this video, I was in the middle of editing it, and it talks about the attacks that were likely launched from Guam Air Force Base with B-2 Spirit bombers carrying that max ordnance penetrator, that 30,000-pound bomb. So the video coming up here will explain.
Just before we start, what is going on? It's so weird that this is happening now, because I've been reacting on American weapons. And I remember I've said so many times, like, no one dare try to mess with the United States of America. Like, what's this is scary. This is scary. Let's see what happened.
Exactly how that attack likely took place, launching out of Guam, and then the fallout, what Iran's response might be. So check out this entire video, and then at the end I'll give some more breaking updates on likely what's next in this conflict. Again, the US has successfully attacked these sites across Iran, and I want to personally congratulate all the pilots involved in these strikes. It sounds like the US jets have gone in and have left Iranian airspace, and now we'll see what happens next. So stay to the end.
Sorry, I think the main reason why the US is attacking Iran is because I think they're building some nuclear weapons, which I feel like if you're building nuclear weapons that could destroy, countries in a very dangerous way, the US probably have to. See, that's the thing, the US don't mess about. If they feel like there's an hint of you attacking or destroying, they're gonna attack. God.
Of the video for more breaking news updates. Welcome to today's video, my friends. It's Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, also known as the fighter pilot next door. On June 21st, 2025, 6 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers roared out of Whiteman Air Force Base in Missouri, and they're tearing their way towards Guam, and they burn a ton of fuel, but they refueled directly after takeoff. And I'll tell you what that means, and I'll use my experience as an F-15E combat fighter pilot, F-16 Thunderbird pilot, and I'm here to break down what that refueling directly after takeoff could signal. But even more than that, the E-4B, a doomsday plane, it's a modified 747, has been said to have landed in DC, and this plane could potentially be used as the Pentagon's flying war room across the globe if things heat up even more in the Middle East. And that jet flexes some serious muscles because it can coordinate an entire air war from its platform, and it could be flying anywhere on the globe, commanding and controlling specific situations, just like what we could see as the B-2 teams up with that E-4B and slams bunker buster bombs directly into nuclear sites across Iran. And in a recent post on Fox News, Dave Burke, an F-22 and F-35 pilot.
Oh, so wait, what? The bunker that they attacked, what they actually blew up is actually underneath. Okay. As long as the normal everyday people is not injured or dead, that's what I care about. Because people have to realize when it comes to this, the people that it affect is the normal people like me and you. Like the people making the people that making decisions, they're rich and all that. It doesn't affect them. I just feel for the normal average person that just going by the day that might be attacked. That's why I care about. Oh God. The US do not play.
Pilot from the Marines comments just a little bit, gives a nice little hint on what that B-2 can carry and that 30,000-pound max ordnance penetrator.
This is a massive weapon designed to penetrate deep underground, hardened targets, well-protected targets like the one you're discussing, and take them out.
So Dave's got a lot of information on that 30,000-pound max ordnance penetrator. Will we see that MOP? Will we see that bomb used here in the near future? We're going to get into all that and more on this video. And be sure to check out Dave's book, The Need to Lead. He's a Top Gun fighter pilot, and that book's incredible. And speaking of naval and marine air power, 2 massive carrier strike groups are on their way to the Middle East, and that's going to join potentially F-22s, F-35s, THAADs, THAADs, and Patriot systems that are part of a massive Middle East firepower buildup, and Israel's recent strikes on Iran's Natanz and Isfahan nuclear sites are heating things up to a powder keg and proportions that we have not seen before. Is the US going to slam Fordo with that 30,000-pound GBU-57? Is Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khamenei, going to back down and step into some negotiations? He's 86 and he's been ruling with an iron fist for over 36 years. Wow. So is he going to go down without a fight? Highly unlikely, but we'll go deeper into that throughout this video, and we'll dive into that B2 and the E4B's killer tech. The things it brings to the fight is just completely unreal. We'll talk about what those refueling queues directly after takeoff mean for the B2, and then Guam's strategic edge. Is Guam...
Again, I'm so sorry about this, but we all joke about, World War III, Like, I've been talking about, I remember when I first found out the US having, spent all this money on military. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, there's nothing going on. Why you spend all this money? Now it makes sense. They were preparing. They didn't care if there was no war for the next 100 years, 200 years. They were just preparing for the inevitable. Because I feel like Iran knows. Iran cannot. Let's be honest here. Iran cannot, win against United States. They know that, and they're gonna have to just have some good. Hopefully, they start having some talks and everything goes well. Because I just feel for the civilians. It's the civilians I fear for. Average people, lives destroyed. Luckily, these strikes, it wasn't like let me know. Please confirm. I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. I do not know. This is just what I've seen, I've heard. I could be wrong, I could be wrong. But I think they attacked just the nuclear sites. So they didn't attack where there was so many civilians. They didn't attack towns, villages, none of that. It was just this nuclear sites, I think. Let me know. I could be wrong.
Potentially a more strategic location than Diego Garcia, even though Diego Garcia is closer to Iran. We'll also dive into Iran's hypersonic missile threats and how Iran has been able to pierce through Israel's supreme air defenses. So buckle up, this one's gonna hit hard. So let's first dive into the cockpit of the big dogs, the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber, and then we'll talk briefly about that E-4B Doomsday plane. These planes are built to slice through Iran's defenses like butter, and they're built to target Fordo's nuclear bunker. That's essentially what the GBU-57 loaded into the B-2 is for, and that's what the pilots flying it have been practicing for over a decade. Fordo's buried under 300 feet of earth, concrete, steel, but this target is likely worth the risk of sending in B-2s, but just for the fact that this facility could be manufacturing weapons-grade uranium. So with Iran's ballistic missiles and nuclear ambitions cranking up the heat, let's unpack the tech that makes these platforms the right platforms for the job. The B-2 Spirit, it's Northrop Grumman's $2.1 billion Ghost. That thing's a flying wing, 172 feet across, 69 feet long, 17 feet high, 160,000 pounds empty, but a beefy 336,000 pounds when it's fully loaded down. This thing's essentially made out of carbon.
Fuck. Did he say $2.1 billion? I think he said that, right? I'm gonna reveal $2.1 billion. I was gonna say probably like 10 million, 20. $2.1 billion. This is not a joke. I think that alone is what more an entire companies, what they set aside for their military. The smaller countries. I grew up in Ireland now. I'd say the Irish military probably has like 80 billion spent on military a year. Yeah, probably less than that. And the fact that this one plane, you can't even call it a plane. What can you call it? It's not a plane. What is? That's what you call. That's the demon. Do you know when you go to sleep and you get a nightmare? That's what you see in your nightmare. Wow.
Carbon fiber and graphite, epoxy, composites, they're extremely light, but they also give it the ability to shrug off radar. And the radar cross-section of this thing is smaller than a sparrow, and that's thanks to radar-absorbent materials that essentially drink up radar waves. It's a seamless design.
Because I was thinking, how did the Iranian military, how did they not see it? So okay. So the technology in this, obviously in this beast that we're seeing, you can't detect it. How can you not be able to detect that? That's some mad technology. Wow.
Scatters those waves into the night, and it makes it essentially a phantom on enemy radar scopes. And then the exhaust is essentially one of the coolest parts about this thing. Its exhaust hides above the wings, and it has a chiller for the heat for the exhaust coming out of those engines, and that helps it dodge infrared sensors. So it can slip through radar detectors and infrared sensors like a shadow. It's got 4 General Electric F118 GE100 turbofans. Each of those pump out 17,300 pounds of thrust, and this jet can hit 630 miles per hour with a 6,000 nautical mile range. This jet can hit 630 miles per hour with a 6,000 nautical mile range unrefueled. And the bomb bay can cradle 2 of those GBU-57s, those massive ordnance penetrators, for a total of 60,000 pounds, or a combination of...
And you know what? I think this is wrong. Sorry, I think it can do more than this. No, I mean, it's not wrong. Sorry, that's a wrong word. It's not wrong, but I feel like we're not getting what this weapon can really do. I can't even call it a play. I think it's a weapon in its own. I think it can do more than this. I don't think the US will literally tell everyone the secrets, what the machine can literally do. They're gonna leave some stuff out. Why would you tell your enemies what it can fully do? They say 630 miles an hour. I think probably like almost 1,000 miles an hour, probably even more than that. And I think, did they say it can go for, how long did they say it can go without needing refueling? Did they say, did they mention? I think he mentioned it. Also, I saw it being doing refueling while it was in flight already. Wow, $2.1 billion.
Of other weapons as well. And the E-4B, that's a modified Boeing 747-200B. It's the National Airborne Operations Center. It's a flying fortress, if you will. It's got a war command center built into this jet. It's 231 feet long. It's got a 195-foot wingspan, and it's powered by 4 General Electric CF6 50E2 engines, each cranking 52,500 pounds of thrust. It can hit a top speed of 602 miles per hour with a 7,000 nautical mile range. No big deal. It's got hardened skin to protect against EMP electromagnetic pulses. It's got shielded electronics and analog backups. It's also got countermeasures that are highly classified, so it's fully ready for doomsday type scenarios. It's got over 65 communication antennas that can communicate.
Is that what it's very similar to what they use for the president. What's the president plane called again? I forgot what it's called. Is it Air Force One? It's very similar to, that's not Air Force One, is it? It's very similar what the president used to fly around, isn't it?
With submarines, ground-based HQs, and other systems. It's got UHF communications to communicate with fighters. It's got satellite communications, and then it links into the USS Carl Vinson, any other carrier strike group that's out there. It can link into F-22s, those THAAD systems, Patriot batteries. It's basically like a battlefield conductor conducting an orchestra or a symphony, and it's ready for destruction. But I think I would equate it more to an AC/DC concert than a symphony. Unless it's AC/DC running a symphony. So inside the jet, it's got a crew of 112 people that work in different command suites to make it all happen. And they work with encrypted satellite links, and they're crunching data around the clock. So it's essentially like a real-time war game going on 24/7. It can fly up to 12 hours straight and then up to 72 hours straight with refuelings, and it packs a 1,000-gallon water tank for marathon missions that keep everybody on the jet alive and thriving. So that B-2's got those MOPs, those mass ordnance penetrators, but the E-4B is essentially calling the shots, working hand in hand with Air Force One and the president, and it ties in all the different command and control structures controlled by the president into any type of asset that's needed. And one of the main things that the E-4B would be doing would be talking to the Patriots and the THAAD missiles, because they want to counter Iran's missiles. Iran's missile arsenal, especially its hypersonic Fatah, is a game changer, and the U.S. is leaning on the Patriot and the THAAD to counter it. So let's break down how these systems differ and whether they can actually stop Iran's fastest missiles. The Patriot, that's Raytheon's battle-tested SAM, and that's been a U.S. Army staple since the 80s. It's evolved from anti-aircraft to anti-ballistic missile defense, and that anti-ballistic missile defense is incredibly important right now. It can protect bases and cities with a range of what's said to be up to about 80 to 90 nautical miles. It's got an altitude cap of about 12 nautical miles, and the pack...
One thing I'm gonna say is Donald Trump doesn't mess about. Oh, I think someone said, I read the comments online on Instagram saying, if it was Joe Biden, would this have happened? Also, I think I have to react when it comes to being people that, liberals, Republicans, and Democrats. When I was younger, I remember when the first time I heard about Donald Trump going to office, I had loads of people saying, oh, Donald Trump is this. It's like it was made to look bad, like it was racist, he doesn't like black people. And do you know what? I believed it. I totally believed it without knowing what these guys had planned for America. I had no clue. And then the older I get, I start realizing this guy is not a bad person. Like, he says what he does what he says he's gonna do. I think I've been seeing loads of news about the immigrant issues that's happening in LA and everything. He's simply saying, okay, if you're getting in illegally, you should be sent back or try to be legal. He literally said it. And I feel like, why would you not want to be in a country legally? Does that make sense? I know some of you guys might not agree with this, but for me, in my opinion, like, my parents, my grandparents, they were migrants that came to the UK, and when they came in, they did the papers and everything. They stayed there legally. I don't see myself being in a country and not contributing to the tax and all that. That's not right. Because if you stay in a country illegally, that means you're not contributing to the welfare of the country. You're using the resources and everything, but you're not contributing to it. If that makes sense. It took me a while to start understanding this. It took me a long time. I'm 30 years old now, and I start realizing we're just taught to just believe, oh yeah, if someone is black, vote for them because you're black. If you're, if they're just because you're black, you have to vote. I don't care about your skin color. I only care about what you're actually gonna do to change my life. I don't live in the US, but if I was to live in the US, don't get me wrong, the way things are going, I probably lean towards more Donald Trump. I think so. Because he does what he says he's gonna do. And whether you like it or not, if that's what you want, if you have a business and it's helping your business grow, he does what he says he's gonna do. Most politicians say, yeah, I'll do this, I'll do that. When they get into power, they don't do it. I'm not saying that, it's Donald Trump is because I who knows, I'm probably wrong. But what I've seen, I'm more of I don't believe in what you say. Anyone can chat shit, but it's about you doing it. I remember when I started this channel, so I'm gonna post every single day. I'm posting like 3-4 times a day. Consistent. Come on, consistent. And I think that's what Donald Trump is doing. Wow. Let me know what you guys think. I don't like talking about politics. I don't really like that because everyone has different views and just because you support Donald Trump or you support Joe Biden doesn't mean that we have to be. You can still, you can support who you want to support. Doesn't mean we have to be enemies. I feel like you don't have to be angry at people. I think.
3 missile has a segment enhancement and it uses hit to kill technology, whereas the PAC-2 likely uses some sort of fragmentation kill technology. And then the THAAD is Lockheed Martin's middle tier system, and that's a beast for high altitude defense. It's got a longer range with what's said to be up to 100 nautical miles. It's got kinetic interceptors, so this thing's gonna move at approximately Mach 8 to hit hypersonic missiles. And it's got no warhead, it just has raw impact, because essentially it's like hitting a bullet with a bullet. As long as you get a hit, you're going to take down that hypersonic weapon. And that THAAD is going to focus on taking out Fatah 1s and Fatah 2 hypersonic missiles. Those Fatah 1 and Fatah 2s have up to a roughly 800 to 1,000 nautical mile range and can go up to what's said to be Mach 12. And those speeds can be a nightmare for sure. Fatah 1s and 2s are maneuverable, and they have a re-entry vehicle and hypersonic glide vehicles that can zigzag, trying to dodge any type of interceptor. The Patriot's PAC-3 can struggle with the Fatah's speed and agility, which is why you need that THAAD's higher altitude capability. But the Fatah also uses decoys and saturation tactics, like the 400 missile barrages it's been sending towards Tel Aviv as of June 2025. It can overwhelm a lot of these systems. But the Patriot and the THAAD are like tag team tactics in a cage fight, but the Fatah's like a dancing phantom. You never know where it's going to be. So this is a really tough problem. It's one that's not impossible, but is a definite challenge for these missile operators. So the Fatah 1 and the Fatah 2, their entire strategy is to confuse the Iron Dome. That's Israel's system for taking down missiles and rockets. And Israel's systems have about a 90% interception rate. So you back that up with the US THAAD and the Navy Aegis destroyers, and you got a really good chance of taking down.
Look at this. These are major cities that's been destroyed. So this is what really annoys me. these are major cities, people's lives being ruined. You know, and I think this is what the Americans are trying to stop. You know, because I feel like they think who knows at this stage. You can't believe anything, but I think that the Americans think that if they don't stop Iran now and they let them keep building all these nuclear weapons, they're gonna destroy Israel. I don't know a lot of stuff about Israel. You know, the whole Israel, Palestine, and Iran. I don't really, cause like you see people, some people are like, oh yeah, I'm not sure whose side to be on. I literally don't know. I don't speak on stuff I don't know. I speak on facts and what I've seen. If I haven't seen something, I don't know. When it comes to the American stuff, I see people's lives being changed. When Joe Biden was there, what was going on? When Donald Trump was there, what was going on? When Donald Trump, before he came in, he said, when I come back in, I'm gonna build a wall. I'm gonna send this back in. And when they go into power, that's what he did. Just mad. I don't even live in that country, but I feel like if I lived there, I'd probably lean in towards. I don't. But I say that now. But maybe if I'm there and like I'm living there day to day, who knows? It depends on what I believe. I just believe in having a good life, building a good. Like I don't want the most luxurious. I just want to have a peaceful life in the countryside. Like my dream, literally, is to build a big farmhouse in Scotland, somewhere like Scotland. I love Scotland so much. Somewhere in Scotland, I visited Scotland like 50 times till last year. I'm always there. So yeah, build a big farmhouse in Scotland. Get a cabin. Get my kids there. Just not live off the land. Just live there. Go hiking. Go climbing. I love seeing views, amazing views, because I'm always in Scotland and it's the most. I keep saying, and I'm always saying, I love Scotland so much. It's so beautiful. Such a beautiful country. If you ever get a chance, shite. Not sure what happened there. But if you ever get a chance to go to Scotland, please do. Let's continue.
Most of these missiles, but the barrages of 400 that have been flying towards Tel Aviv make it really difficult to get to a 100% solution. And the fact that those Fatah missiles can maneuver erratically to dodge the different THAAD systems makes it a really tough problem. So let's discuss why these B-2s took off from Whiteman, refueled immediately, and then headed towards Guam. How is Guam strategic, and can it be used as a strike base? So Guam's base, it's essentially a Pacific fortress for the B-2. It's home to Andersen Air Force Base, which is roughly 3,400 nautical miles from Iran's Fordo bunker. And that's Iran's mountain fortress that you've seen me cover in other videos. So targets like Fordo and Iran in general essentially makes ground assaults a no-go. So air power is the #1 strategic advantage that the US has when it comes to Iran. Because going into a ground assault in Iran would essentially be like Afghanistan on steroids. The different mountain ranges in Iran essentially make a ground campaign, along with everything else that comes with a ground campaign, very undesirable. So the B-2 striking these targets from Guam is incredibly strategic and gives the US the ability to keep these B-2s out of harm's way, out of the range of the Fatah 1 and Fatah 2 hypersonic weapons, while preparing them to strike and operate from Guam back and forth with maybe 1 to 2.
It looks like the Fatah 1 and the Fatah 2, they're crazy weapons as well, the way they're going. So it looks like the US are a bit careful when it comes to going near. I have to check out the Fatah 1 and the Fatah 2. Sounds very interesting.
2 refuelings. So the definite pros of using Guam as a base is that they can strike Iran with only those 1 to 2 refuelings, probably only 1 refuelings, and it's only a 10 to 12 hour mission to get to Iran. That saves hours when it comes to launching these jets from Whiteman. So Guam's outside of that missile range. You got a quicker mission, and you've got the ability to get these jets back to Andersen, get them fueled back up and reloaded up with bunker buster bombs if needed, or other conventional weapons, and get them back into the fight faster. Andersen's also got huge hardened B-2 hangars. It's got massive fuel depots, and it's got 12,000 foot runways. And then the E-4B can orbit nearby and can operate out of Guam as well. Those 65 antennas can sync up with different carriers and other assets that are in the Middle East, and then they can land at Guam and refuel and get ready to go back into the fight as well. And Guam being further away than Diego Garcia, roughly 3,200 nautical miles for Iran, and the fact that Diego Garcia only has 1 massive runway gives Andersen the advantage in this case. And also Diego Garcia only has a single B-2 hangar, so that would leave planes.
Where is this? Is this Missouri? I think it said they launched the The B2, was it from Missouri? I think they mentioned Missouri. I know Virginia is a big place where there's lots of United States Army is based. So Virginia, Texas, and California. I've been doing some of my research lately. But yeah, is the Garcia, is that in Missouri or Virginia? Let me know.
Exposed to Chinese or Russian satellites, or potentially even Fatah missiles that could launch off container ships and actually strike the B-2s themselves. And the routes from Diego Garcia to Iran could spark nations like Pakistan to tip off Iran. And then also China could have a better view of the B-2s actually launching and give a heads up to Iran, eliminating the element of surprise. So even though Diego Garcia would be sneaky, Guam and Anderson would be even sneakier. And never underestimate the sneakiness.
I fear you're underestimating the sneakiness.
So the 6 B-2s launching out of Anderson would be backed by that E-4B, and their number one target would be Fordo. They'd be going after that massive bunker, and that bunker is 300 feet under rock, under earth, and under concrete, and it's guarded by S-300s and potentially up to 2,000 ballistic missiles. So the fact that those B-2s took off and refueled immediately could mean that they're taking off with a lighter than normal fuel load, and that they're already loaded down with those mass ordnance penetrators, those 30,000 pound bombs, 2 of them each, so 60,000 pounds, which would mean they definitely would need a reduced fuel load at takeoff. But it could also be that that is just part of the logistics to get them to Anderson. Myself flying F-15Es, there were times when we would take off and directly over the base we would refuel, and that just got us on track for the rest of the trip overseas. So whether those B-2s took off from Whiteman being loaded down with those mass ordnance penetrators, it doesn't really matter, because they could just load up with those once they get to Anderson, and then they could just operate out of Anderson by reloading themselves with those 30,000 pound bombs. And the fact that Anderson has such good logistics, it has such good weapon storage facilities, that they could just reload with these mass ordnance penetrators, there's no real reason that they would have to take off out of Whiteman already carrying them. But how would these B-2s and the E-4Bs team up with F-22s and F-35? So F-22s could be in theater, they could launch from various bases in the Middle East, and then F-35s could launch from the Carl Vinson, that Navy strike package. They could launch out of there and provide mass.
See, this is why the United States have all these bases all around the world. I think last time I read, they've got like 80 bases around the world. So literally, they're ready. They got all these planes ready to attack, to support the B-2 bomb. Fuck. The United States, they've been prepared for this. Do you guys see Russia or China up in Iran if something was to... I can definitely see Russia up in them. I don't see China up in them. I can see China becoming more... China be a bit more wary, but I can see Russia doesn't care. I don't feel like they want to join in, but I feel like if they feel like it's gonna help them a lot in the long run, I can see Russia getting in. But again, it's the lives that's gonna be lost. It's gonna be so many innocent lives that's gonna be lost, and we're destroying the world for our kids, our great grandkids. It's not us that's gonna suffer, because we lived a good life. It's the kids, the great grandkids, man. But yeah, hopefully no nuclear bombs get launched. None of that happens. It's mad.
Massive air power while the B-2s are flying in. They could distract the radars, target all the different S-300s that might still be alive after Israel strikes, and make sure that the B-2s have a clear path into Fordo nuclear structure. Because it's said that Israel strikes have decimated ballistic missiles, and it's said there's probably around 1,000 of these missiles that could be still alive, and these missiles could unleash on the B-2s and try to get a lucky shot as those B-2s fly in. But the B-2s basically a mosquito on that scope, so it would be a 1 in a million chance of hitting one of these B-2s, in my opinion. As you can see, things are heating up, things are getting real. So did the B-2 take off with those mass ordnance penetrators? Potentially, but even if they didn't, they could get loaded up at Guam, and Guam to me is a much more likely scenario for a strike on Iran. It makes more sense. You've got multiple runways, you've got massive weapons depots, you've got the ability to protect these B-2s with F-15s in theater, with F-22s nearby, F-35s. You've got a massive ability to protect the B-2, which is your number one strategic asset. And then you've got the E-4B, which is a strategic asset as well, that can target and control Patriots, the THAAD systems and just really start to target Iran's defense network and try to take down Iran's ballistic missile threat, specifically their hypersonic missile threat. So this is tech versus tech at its peak. So I hope that video gave you guys some context on what these strikes likely were. It talks about that E-4B command center. That was likely the maestro up there in the skies. And then I've got some more updates here. So President Trump posted that a successful attack took place, and President Trump will do an address to the nation tonight, the day of this video releasing at 10 p.m. Eastern time, with even more updates. And as far as the different locations go, the different strikes go, it looks like Natanz was hit even harder. Fordo, that's that massive 300-foot underground structure. And with my Buster Bunker bomb video, you can see exactly likely how Fordo was hit. And then Esafon, that's likely another target that was hit as well. Really appreciate everybody watching these videos. Please go ahead and check out this video right here. That's basically the biggest compliment you can give me. Definitely check out the presidential address tonight at 10 p.m. Thanks so much for watching this video. I'll see you on this video right here. This is Ryan, also known as Max Afterburner, proud to bring you this breaking news, and hopefully this video helped you all. This is me, signing off. Breaking news, everybody.
What a crazy world we live in. The fact that we're talking about, it's 2025 and we're talking about nuclear bombs. It's like we haven't learned. We didn't learn from, in the World War I, World War II, the Soviet War, the Gulf. Like, we never learned. Like, we just... But again, I'm just glad that the United Kingdom are allies with the United States. That's one thing I'm so happy about. I'm so happy about that. I'm so glad. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think about this. I feel like most people probably agree with this or disagree. I don't know the full background of what's going on, so I'm not gonna comment on that. But let me know what you guys think down below. Let me know your reaction about this. Comment down below. Let me know what you guys want to see, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.